Are you participating in a practice challenge? Maybe next week, perhaps, or okay. We'll see. Okay. You don't have to, but if you want to, you're more than welcome. Yes. All right. Let's start with the scale, Isaac. How about B flat major? And we're doing slurs and separate bows. B flat major. Okay, so here's your 70 for you.
Should I do separate?
Start
first?
separate bows, half bows, yeah. B flat, D. You know what I think? Actually, go ahead and stop for 1 second. I feel like you were so tall. Let's just try something. What if I put the stand on this piano bench here? Because the last thing you want is you having to look down at the music, right? This is, I know, a little bit unorthodox, but, you know, and then we'll just bring it down there, but, okay. And hopefully we don't have any disasters. Okay. So, there we go. And then, about there. Okay. And then whole bow all the way to the frog. All the way to the frog. Good. Now into slur 2. B flat, D. But with the turnaround there. So B flat, D, C, B flat. One more time on slur 2. Again. Shift there. Up bow. Three here. Good. Okay. Good. I just wanted to make sure we had that shifting on the way down for B flat major. So in reviewing this one for this week, let's have you continue with the slur 2, and then also the half notes with separate bows, and then let's add in slur 4, okay, for 8th notes. So what would that look like without the metronome for now, slurring 4 to a bow? So T, 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 T. E flat. All right, so you're gonna review B flat major, half notes, slur 2, slur 4. For each of these, you need to use your entire bow. So obviously for the half notes, 1 bow per note. For the slur 2, 1 note per half bow, okay? For slur 4, 2 bows, or 2 notes per half bow. But we need you using that whole bow, okay? So just think about it as division, okay? As you're playing the scale. Now, second thing about these scales are, oh, what's that light? What does that mean? Is there a fire alarm going on?
Does that mean the power is out? Everything seems okay outside.
Okay. That's weird. I've never seen that light come on before. I never even noticed it there. Anyway, okay. Back to shifting. So you get up into these really high positions, right? And once we get to around 5th position, we really have to think about what our thumb is doing. So, do you have the shifting scale on you by any chance? Is that something that I assigned last week? I did.
You
Yeah.
signed?
Okay. All right. Let's go right to the shifting scale. Did you have a chance to practice your shifting scale?
I couldn't find it.
Oh. Okay. So, let's take a picture of it. Don't worry about searching for it for now. Read it off here and look at a picture. There we go. Okay. That's it. Okay. All right. So let's hear each measure 2 times, remembering that we want to bring our thumb with our hand and our arm to the new position. And that's going to be flat. Yeah, E flat. A smooth shifts. B flat F. So this is the 5th position point, Isaac, when you want to think about bringing your thumb a little bit under the neck of the violin. Alright, so last week we were talking about knowing that you have to go to an altitude of, 30,000 feet, but you have to know that before you take off, okay? So it can't be like, oh yeah, then I change to with my thumb under. It has to be knowing that before you go. Yes. Oh, that was a great one. Okay, one more time up to the F now, too. All right, good. Now think about your hand frame. All right, so you want fingers to be over the strings, hovered, in case we have to use them, right? So. And notice that my hand is clearing the instrument. Knuckles are above the body of the instrument, the table of the instrument. That's it. That's what we're looking for. Once again. Okay, once more. Yes. So what you just did right there was excellent. It sounded fine, and the mechanics of it, getting your hand into position, were great. How did it feel? Did it feel like 100% awkward? 50% awkward.
50%.
Okay, so we'll practice that so that we can bring it down to 0% awkward for next time. Okay, let's go up into 6th position now. Okay, so Isaac, you did. Watch here. You gotta. Okay, so one swooping motion, okay? So ask your thumb to be more. That's it. There you go. Okay, once more. Perfect. Really good. Okay? And then. Make sure that violin stays up nice and high. Go ahead. Yeah. And because you have such long fingers and arms, you make that look really, really easy. Okay? So I think it's going to be no problem, but you will need to practice it a few times. And then octave. And violin up. But one more time to find that octave. And heavier bow and lighter left hand. Go ahead. Okay, so your left hand was light, but your bow is also light. See if we can, take those sides apart a little bit and make your bow much heavier. That's it. Excellent. Really, really good. Okay? So, I know it's like, oh god, this shifting skill sounds weird. It's not even a real piece. However, these moves are in our pieces. Let's see. Well, they're not in the Bach double so much. Well, kind of. We have the. But we just don't hear the shift as much, okay? But the same mechanics are there that we're gonna want to have, okay? All right. Let's go to your etude. Okay, so we have Wolfhard number. I didn't give you Wolfhard last week. I didn't give you Wolfhard last week, or did I not write it down?
I don't think you did.
Okay. Let's see where the Wolfhard is. Okay, I think we left off around number 9. Yeah, I think that one's yours. Shifting scale. Okay, actually we finished number 9, looks like. Alright, so let's say that number 10 for next time. I'm pretty sure that you played number 9 at a lesson. So number 10, we're talking about key.
A.
A, you say? A is right. Okay. Oh. That was
the rubber band that Jonathan.
Okay, I think that was a setup actually. All right, you're right. It's A major. Okay, so you're starting on a G sharp here. Okay, let's hear it from the top a little bit. So Mississippi, 1, 2, ready. high 3. Okay, so this is how the whole etudes are going to go: slur, separate, so forth. What I want you to do is think about using a nice flowing stroke on the separate bows. Separate. And I want you to sink into the slurs. So heavy flow, flow, heavy flow, flow. Yes? Okay, try that. Yeah, much heavier on the slur. Okay. We need G sharp though, and on that beat 2, or the E of 2. So high 3 there. Okay. One more time. That was right with the weight though. Low 1. Okay, good. So we need those separate bows to be so very connected. Okay, it's as though so you know when you're imagine this room was filled with water and you had to move your arm through water and sort of the resistance that you would feel, right? That's the sort of resistance that you're gonna want to feel on the string. And even without vibrato. Okay, so it's a little bit of friction, resistance on the string is what you want to have going on. Okay, once again, last time. And F sharp note. C sharp. Okay, good. So I still hear a little bit of stop between the separate bows. I hear what it should be. Super legato and connected. Yes. Okay, try it from the second measure. C sharp. Yes. Good. Okay, so now we have those ingredients. Okay, we have the sync on the slur, we have the very connected on the separates, and then last thing I need you to, well, learn the notes obviously through practice, but I also need your bow on the highway. That's going to affect the sound too, right? See if you can try the very beginning one more time and have your attention be a little bit on the music and then sometimes going to your bow and where it is in the string. Smooth, 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 smooth. Okay, that's the right idea. Alright, so tempo for next time. Let's see if we can get it to eighth note equals 100. Okay, so that will, I think, you know, keep you pretty busy there to get the speed up, but also with those ingredients of the bow. Okay. Any questions about what part? Was it 10? Part 10? Okay. All right, let's do a little bit of review before we hit Bach double. And actually, yeah, we do need to do a review. How was Vivaldi? I haven't heard Vivaldi in a long time. Did you have a chance to review that at all this week? Okay, so I'll sign it to review this week. Can you remember just the beginning? Maybe? All right, let's just hear the beginning a little bit. Up. 2, 3, and up. Alright, good. What if we had that whole first opening section and asking for our first finger on the bow to be just a little bit bossier the entire time? Okay, so heavier bow, stick closer to the hair. Okay, try that. Yeah. Keep the first finger bossy. Okay, so already I think that's sounding a little bit stronger, and just to simply think about bossy first finger, stick closer to the hair. I need to see a little bit of vibrato exercise right now. So what have you been doing with vibrato?
Have you done long ago?
Okay, let's see long ago with vibrato. Good. So a little bit of space between first finger and the neck of the violin. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Isaac, for these notes, see if you can make your vibrato more continuous. Okay, it's kind of starting and stopping. Okay, but it's got to be more independent of what your bow is doing. Okay, so what I mean is that your vibrato isn't influenced by your bow; it just keeps going. Okay. Okay, so already it's more continuous and consistent, which is good. Now let's think of the shape of it, and we want it to always be sort of that circular shape and not too angular or jagged. Okay, so with that, you'll need to have a little bit of control over the speed. Find even a slow, consistent speed is better than a fast and inconsistent one. Okay? Okay, good. So it's becoming more rounded and more continuous. Still needs a little bit of practice on that. But think about what your bow is doing also. So remember we talked about syncing, same that we were doing here though. But wait, and that will also help the sound on the highway. Try again. So ballsy first finger on the quarter notes. Yes. And then straight wrist. Good. Yeah. Alright, so I think what happens sometimes, that sound much better. What happens sometimes is when we start getting fancy with shifting and vibrato and our violin hands, that you have to remember that your head and shoulder have to kind of compensate as in providing support for the violin. Because if you were providing support with your violin from the left hand, then when you start vibrating or shifting, well, that kind of goes away. And sometimes I think that's maybe why our instrument is falling when we are shifting or doing vibrato. So remember when you first started and you were doing those lion holds like this, right? What would that look like right now? Would your violin be able to be parallel to the floor? Perfect. Okay, good. So that's 100% support with your head and shoulder. Okay, so now bring your left hand back. Okay, and how about let's just hear this passage of Bach where you have some jumping around to do. Okay, left hand wise. Okay, remember to keep support with your head and shoulder. Okay, good. So just watch your bowing though. So excellent shifting. Down, up, down, up, down, up. So up bow when you go to the E string there. Good. And much more bow on the 16ths. Okay. Just from that scale there. And start down bow, down bow. Down, up, down, up. Much more bow. Yes. Okay, now from the beginning of the passage once more. And with that amount of bow on those descending scales. Yeah, what happened to the bow? Okay, very good. So this is the solo section, right? It's not, one of the sections where we're having dialogue, or it's not a section that's being heavily really accompanied by the other violin. Here, can you give a little bit of shape? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. On those 3 slurred notes, go from open E, B flat, A, G, A. Yeah, but with the slurs. One, 2, 3. Good. And watch out for your left hand. Make sure that stays tall there. So straight wrist and tall metric X there. Right here, straight wrist. There we go. Okay, good. Are you 100% sure the notes there? Open up your book quickly and look at the notes there, because I hear a G sharps, but it's got to be G natural. Okay, so look at that spot there from the open E. Yeah, low 2. Low 2. Yeah. Yes, so that was the right notes. But remember, all of the 16th notes in this piece, every single one that's on separate bow, is going to be legato. Okay? So this is the shape that we were trying to get here. 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. Okay. Try that spot one more time at 28. Good, and that on nice ringtone at the end. That's it. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop there for right now. Next time, I'll make sure to hear the whole Bach double, okay? Because I know it's on the Harvest concert. Review that, and I would be making sure that you're reviewing pretty much all of Book 4, okay? So, Vivaldi Third Movement, Perpetual Motion, also is fair game. Anything after Sights, okay, for Book 4. And that's after Sights' third movement. Actually, after Sights' first movement, because Sights' third movement is on the Harvest concert. And then I can go ahead and ask for any of those for next lesson. Okay. Memorize would be awesome. If not, though, with the music is fine too. And for you this week, we're thinking bossy first finger. Okay? Stick closer to hair. And, of course, highway. Alright? So, let's see here. Actually, for the Bach next week, I'm going to just ask for certain sections. Let's say that we ask for 75 to 76. And then 60 to 62. And then let's say 25 to 29. And then finally, let's have 44 to 46. 44 to 45. So those are spots that you want to isolate in the Bach this week. Let's see. And under scales and basics, let's add in vibrato. I want you to go back to, well, not go back to, but add in again, fourth position vibrato with each finger, doing quarters, eighths, triplets, sixteenths, and sixes. That's going to give you the control that we're going after, especially when we go down to first position. Remember how to do that? So, for instance, find your fourth position, and then you're going to have your hand against the violin, so hand against, and then space, so we'll go quarters. Try that. And then eighth notes, T, D, T. Good, and hold your violin up. Triplet, triplet. That's it. Okay. And then 16th, Mississippi. Good. So fourth position, quarters, eighths, triplets, and then etc. I would start it at 70, and then add it up or work up by fours each day. Okay. All right. So, any questions for today? Okay. let's go ahead and stop there and